Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar on Content Processing Technician, hosted by Jessica James and Mark Drury. We're just going to give a couple more minutes for people to jump on, and then I'll give a brief intro, and they will start their presentation. Thank you guys for joining. Okay, a bit of a brief bio on both of our speakers and presenters, Jessica James and Mark Drury. Jessica James has over 30 years experience in the industry, opening her first cleaning, restoration, and remediation company, along with her brother in 1982. She has successfully run several contents processing specific companies, including PackTech and a full service soft contents company called Fabric Restoration Technologies, FabTech. Jessica is a retired IICRC board of director, but still a very active volunteer, leading several IICRC committees. Jessica is an IICRC Triple Master, holds the highest ACAC indoor environmental certifications, and is a highly requested IICRC approved instructor in most of the cleaning and restoration categories. Mark Drury is the Vice President of Operations for Five Valleys Restoration, a full service company and restoration company serving Western Montana. Accomplishing his IICRC Master status in 2018, he has gone on to become an active IICRC and RIA committee member and is a certified methamphetamine contractor with the DEQ. Besides running the day-to-day operations of his company, Mark travels the country attending and speaking at conferences and committees, gaining inspiration while inspiring others. Please welcome Jessica James and Mark Drury.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you. Just to give you a heads up, Mark, you're muted too, so I just made the same mistake.
I'm here now.
Yeah, we're all here. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's a pleasure to be here. Looks like we have a full house with over 500 IICRC registrants and certified firms. So nice. We are so excited to see that there's so many people interested in this new certification. Mark and I were asked to come and introduce the certification to the registrants and the certified firms, as well as other interested parties in the cleaning and restoration industry. So we're going to kind of give you an overview of the course, and then we're actually going to walk into a couple of the course concept slides so you can see some of the things that we'll be teaching in the course. And then the last 30 minutes of this presentation is all going to be question and answers, and they can be any questions you like. If you have any content specific questions, if you have any processing questions or recovery questions, preservation questions, contamination questions, we'll be happy to field all of those questions for you. In the past, contents recovery and processing, these services were usually just kind of like a byline to some of the other restoration and remediation services. They weren't really their own kind of signified services in a restoration company. Things have changed over about the past 10 years, and the insurance industry has really started to conceptualize the costs of personal property and personal property recovery. And so they've kind of started to demand better contents recovery from their restoration contractors. So the concept of designing and creating a new IICRC certification was brought to the board by my good friend James Toll, who is the vice chair of our committee, the CPT committee, and a new contents processing technician certification was created. Mark, you want to introduce the team? Let me get the slide.
So obviously these are the superstars behind this whole committee. We have Jessica James as the chair, who you've had the pleasure of hearing so far. James Toll, the vice chair, and the committee members, Rudy Alford, myself, Mark Drury, Kim Kelly, Josh Miller, Ken Sellers, and Jason Twig. And definitely a wealth of knowledge with all these people that compiled everything. So just so you're aware, all the information that you're getting is from years and years of experience from doing this ourselves, and really gathering that information so as an industry, like Jessica was saying, we can present a more professional experience to not only the client, but the carrier as well.
One thing I want to mention too is that when we brought the team together, when James and I worked to create the team, we distinctively determined we wanted all different aspects and experiences in the contents restoration and recover industry to be represented during in our curriculum. So it was really interesting to have so many different views from so many different contractors in the cleaning and restoration industry specific to contents. And we think we really kind of put it all together to create a well-rounded course that would include information to reach across, global boundaries as well as educational boundaries. That was another thing that we kind of had a touch point on, was making sure that many of the IICRC global countries that are affiliated, they could be taught this class and would receive information that would be valuable to them and their specific country. So on our team, we had mostly those of us from North America, but we also had James Toll from Canada joining us, my co-chair. And then we had Jason Twigg from Australia, giving us some great information, especially when it came to health and safety on processes and processing of contents.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Mark?
I think that's great. The global vision is important, especially in this day and age.
Perfect. So creating a new certification course for the IICRC is a monumental task. I've been with the IICRC for over 30 years, so I've kind of helped out in a variety of different standards and committees. I've been on the board, but I tell you, the most work I've ever done is being in charge of creating this new committee, or being in charge of gathering this committee and really helping the committee move forward. Everybody worked as a team. We met once a week for almost 4 years. We met once a week to bring this course together. We kind of created and fine-tuned a curriculum and a lot of important learning lessons that we felt were a specific goal in different educational lessons and objectives that would really have the student feel confident that they could leave the course, after the 3 days of education, they could leave the course and they could go out the very next day and have the ability to be a safe, efficient, and effective member of a professional restoration contents team. Let's take a minute to kind of click through some of the highlights of the course, some of the course sections, and then we'll kind of move into how you can find a course near you. Mark, feel free to pop in whenever you want to.
Yeah.
So that first section there is health and safety. It's funny, when people think of contents cleaning, they think only of fire damage. This course covers much more than this. This is a professional contents training course, or a professional contents technician training course. It covers a wide variety of different types of contamination. Everything from, category 3 water losses or grossly contaminated water losses to contents that have been affected by skunk spray and, mold conditions, as well as irritating powders.
I agree too with you, Jessica, that a lot of times, and I've seen this in my experience too, is people overlook the fact that contents are in every single loss that you do, right? So obviously we want to protect the structure and dry out whatever we need to dry out or clean whatever we need to clean, but I've never been to a loss myself where there wasn't a content there, right? So in order to professionally complete that job, you definitely need to be able to properly assess, properly decontaminate, and properly restore a content as well as the structure. So I think this was a huge part of our industry that was missing some kind of guidelines to help get people there.
Nice. So the kind of different sections that we thought we'd move through are, of course, health and safety. So health and safety is always a big trigger on a lot of projects, making sure that our technicians are performing their services safely out there. So we talk a little bit about the different types of PPE necessary for the different types of contamination that we're dealing with, not only on the job site, but back at the shop. during transportation and back at the shop, verifying that you're not creating cross-contamination and that you're still maintaining a healthy and safe environment while you're processing those contents, performing the recovery services. The next kind of quite a large section that we have is the different types of contamination types that we're running into that Mark and I were just talking about. So many different contamination types are involved. We mentioned quite a few, but there's many more that we discuss during the course of the certification class. We tried to maintain this course for an entry-level technician, but we understand that we are going to have a wide variety of education and experience levels coming through our courses. So we did want to add information on how to inspect, assess, and evaluate a loss site. So if we do have any type of project managers or estimators that enter into the course as well, they'll get the information that they need on the appropriate steps to take to maintain safety, as well as creating that primary project initial inspection, maybe some scoping techniques. So lots of good information, not only for the upper level education, but good information for when you get those contents back at the shop. How do you inspect those items to determine whether or not, this type of cleaning would be appropriate or that type of cleaning would be appropriate? So another really good section.
I agree. And I think that also helps the technician make assessments and help the project manager along if they missed anything. So it's always good to learn that no matter what level you're at.
Yeah, and there's always communication between the, sometimes larger restoration contractors have your infield personnel, and then your infield personnel, and then the personnel back at the shop. I know with my lead cleaning technician, sometimes I give her a phone call and say, hey, this is the soiling that we have here. This is the contamination level. Take a look at this picture. Do you feel that we could appropriately take this back to the shop and clean and remediate it? It's great to have the information kind of where everybody can put that information together so that we come out with the objective of saving personal property, preserving personal property.
Great point.
Then, of course, we also go into operational procedures. I think we spend almost a full day on discussing different types of inventory methods, where some inventory methods may work better than other inventory methods in some situations, evaluating which type of inventory method might be best for you or your company. Kind of reviewing some of the new technologies that we have in inventory methods, such as barcoding, of course, all of our software that's available. We talk about documentation, whether it's written documentation, 3D documentation, or still photo documentation. We have a large section on creating the inventory itself. And then we move into kind of staging the areas in your loss site to determine, what is the most important area for me to pack out or for the teams to pack out. How do you pack a box? Very important lesson is how to pack a box, because there's a big difference between packing a box for pack out and packing a box for pack in. There's some significant differences there. So understanding the full processes from start to finish with your operational procedures is important for everybody on your team. And then, of course, tools, equipment, and chemistry, as well as the cleaning, deodorization, and complete processing of those items. That's almost the whole, depending on whether you're taking an online course or whether you're taking a in-the-field course, or an on-location course, whether you're taking a 3-day course, which is the official time limit for the CPT certification, or whether you're taking one of the more advanced 5-day hands-on courses that include that 3-day official certification course. You're going to get all of the information that you need on how to properly perform those cleaning services, those cleaning and deodorization services. When we built this class, We finished this class pre-COVID-19, so we didn't really anticipate live stream learning. We just kind of went with the role when that happened. But when we created this class, we actually created this course with lots of hands-on experiences. It was very heavy, a hands-on curriculum, so that we could really have students down, packing boxes, putting on PPE, understanding how to perform an inventory, how to perform a hazard assessment, how to perform, appropriate inspections, as well as packouts. So lots of good information.
It is. And I think with that whole gamut right there, that covers every aspect of the process, right?
Yeah.
And includes making sure that you're safe doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That is definitely a big part of this, is ensuring that each step of the way, you're not cross-contaminating, you're not putting yourself in danger, and you're also keeping the content safe each step of the process, through the house to your shop and then back to the house at the end.
Exactly. So how do you find a CPT course? Mark, you want to take that one over? Before you do, let me just say that we do have currently 5 schools that are approved to teach the CPT course, and we have the whole team is approved to teach CPT with their school. So we have 8 instructors, as well as new instructors that we're training every day to come out into the field and really get this course spread out across our registrants and our certified firms in the industry.
Yeah. And I think this slide here kind of explains it. You go to the IICRC, and whether you're looking for a live stream or non-location, once you click on that and you look through what classes are available in your area, you can kind of make that decision and then plan around that as far as, how you need to get there. If something you need to travel, how many people are going with you. But I think this is, from my experience, the best option is to go straight to the website for IICRC and go from there.
Yeah, or if you have a favorite instructor, connect with that favorite instructor. Lots of different options on how to find a course. Of course, now we are performing live stream courses, so you do have both options, live stream or on location.
Yeah, and with the COVID, I know a lot of people are hesitant for that live stream because you don't get that in-person, that hands-on experience. But, which there's validity to that, but I don't think that that's worth not going to the course, because there's a lot of great information that you can get with the live stream, right? And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
I think both of them are great learning experiences. Mm-hmm. And whichever option works best for you and your technicians is a great option. If you feel your technician will do very well with a hands-on experience, I would send them to an on-location course. If you feel your technician might benefit better from live stream training, some great options. Yeah. We're also talking about a hybrid option that you might see in the future as well, where maybe some of the course you would take online and some of the course you would go to a location and learn that hands-on stuff. So we're innovating the course as we move along. Mm-hmm. All right, we're doing good on time. We're doing great. We just have a couple of slides that we wanted to go through. These are excerpts from my presentation from my school. I teach through a school called Remediation Training, which is the same school that Mark teaches through, RTC, Remediation Training and Consulting. But we do have several other schools, and I did ask several of the other schools to dedicate content to these course excerpts. So let's just go ahead and kind of teach a mini little 10-minute class. Please understand you're only getting 4 slides from about 250 slides. So just a little quick taste of what you'll learn in the CPT course.
And is this free of charge, Jessica? We're not charging them for that?
We're not charging anything. I think IICRC has already asked us to come back and do a little more technical training. So we'll be looking forward to that. I'd like to kind of describe that course outline just really quick. This course, usually when it's online, when it is a live stream course, it is a 4-day course. When it is on location. It's a 3-day course. And as we mentioned before, in some of those categories that we were talking about, the things that we teach, first day is usually health and safety. Second day is understanding the different types of contamination. It's dedicated to understanding the characteristics of those contaminations. And then, of course, inspection and assessment and evaluation procedures. Day 3 is kind of where we start talking about the meat and potatoes of that project. What we do once we get on site. Everything from staging our donning and doffing to staging our boxes to determining where our entry and exit points are, how we're going to manipulate those contents, what are the different choices that we have. We're also going to talk about pre-cleaning, pre-deodorization. Are there items that we need to clean there on site? Or are we just going to pack everything out and bring it off site? So we kind of talk about the performing the pack out. And then day 4 or day 3, depending on which course you take, is all about cleaning. Chemistry, different types of contents, hard contents versus soft contents versus electronics versus high value goods, how to determine value and salvageability, all different things like that. So just kind of a quick little outline on that course there. So this is kind of the start of some of the specifics of the slides. You want to take it away, Mark?
Yeah. So this is our health and safety, the hazard assessment slide. So this is basically talking about the steps that we need to take to ensure that everybody's safe, right? That's our number one goal on any job site, is keeping everybody safe, keeping our workers safe. And the initial safety steps we should always take would be to perform that hazard assessment. And that hazard assessment is basically just getting on site and taking a visual around you and seeing, is there anything here that could damage an employee or myself or a technician, right? And writing that down, writing your assessment of the potential threats and risks that you have. And you need to identify those risks so that you can make an assessment plan. And that plan, what hazard am I facing? If I'm in a fire job and I've got partially combusted material, that's very hazardous to my lungs, right? So I want to make sure that I have that in my plan to say, how is this harmful and how can I protect the person that's going to be around that? Do I need to set up an engineering control? There's going to be your hierarchy of hazard controls, right? Your elimination, substitution, your engineering controls, your administrative controls, and your PPE. And it's very important to understand where that falls, what you need to do first. Obviously, PPP is your last source of defense, right? Everybody always likes to miss that, I believe, is PPE should not be your first line of defense. It should be your last line of defense. So what kind of engineering controls do we have? HEPA scrubbers? Are we doing air exchanges? All that. So we'll go over all those assessments and then institute how to control that. And that's kind of a brief guideline. And obviously we're following federal, local safety guidelines. We're going through OSHA. We're covering all those regulations and laws that we need to. But it's very important, especially in contents, to when you're sending somebody in there, they're aware of the dangers and the risks and making sure that there's something in place to address that.
Just to kind of add on to that, I know in my classes, I have had people from Europe, I've had people from China, I've had people from Malaysia, of course, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, of course, South America, Brazil. I've had people, I just had a student from Lebanon. So I am seeing students in my courses that are coming from all over this globe, all over the world. So we are truly trying to make sure that when we talk about health and safety, we're not just talking about one federal entity. We're trying to globally include all federal entities. So we may mention, WorkSafe Australia, WorkSafe Canada. We may mention some of these specific federal entities, but we always try to make sure that we include all entities when it comes to health and safety. Mm-hmm. All right, this is one of the slides from day 2 of my presentation. This is where we're talking about the different types of contamination that one can find on a project, especially if you have bloodborne pathogens or infectious disease, the different types of microorganisms. So kind of leading up to this slide, I have already had conversations about microorganisms, the different types of microorganisms that can be found on a trauma scene versus a water damage versus a specific infectious disease type of remediation processes with all of those contents. Whether or not we kind of, after this, we talk about whether or not that contamination affects those materials and what is the potential for cross-contamination. Is it okay for us to transport our contents that have been affected with bloodborne pathogens or maybe a specific infectious disease or waterborne pathogens? What do the standards say on transportation and cleaning, restoration services of these items? Do we have any limitations that we need to follow? Do we have any conflicts or complexities that we need to address while we're performing our services? Just to kind of give you a heads up, when I teach the trauma scene class, it's really interesting to hear for bloodborne pathogens, for infectious disease content, how many people are allowed to remove that from the work site, transport those contaminated items back to their shop, and how many are limited by no, they can't transport that item from that job site. They have to perform all of the contents cleaning on site. So you have to have systems in place. You have to have all of your packaging systems in place. So not only do you have to clean those contents, but you have to disinfect as well as package those contents and then verify that you've not left any type of contaminated material on the outside of those boxes. So you actually set up several stages for your contents cleaning so that when you remove that box from that environment, it has been decontaminated and it's ready to be moved back to your shop. And then, or, back to the client, or if those clients, those contents are going to be left there on site, just depending on the project itself. We also hit a little bit on when you're performing your hoarder projects, sometimes there's not contents that you're going to be saving. But after, 32 years of being in this industry and performing those types of services, I've never once walked into a hoarder project that hasn't been a bloodborne pathogen associated project. You always find, right, Mark? You always find, dead animals, lots of insect activity. Sometimes you find avian activity on these sites.
You're bringing back memories I don't want to think about, Jessica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oftentimes there's human waste on these sites. So we do discuss handling those types of contents as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we kind of mention, there's just so many rules, or not rules, but policies, regulations, guidelines, and in some cases, laws that will either impede your processing system or will even prevent your contents processing system. So you have to kind of think outside of the box. And we do talk about some of those federal, state, and provincial laws. Here we have another slide. Mark, you want to take that slide away?
Yeah. So here we're talking about our project initial inspection. So when you're arriving on a job, obviously one of the first things you're going to do is make that initial inspection assessment of what do I keep and what do I throw away, right? What's salvageable, what's non-salvageable. And it's very important to know what you can restore and then why you would want to make that decision. Is that a money decision? Is it a sentimental decision? All those factors really play a part when doing that. And that's something you definitely want to make sure that you have a proper procedure in place. When you're talking to the client or the carrier, you can explain the decision you made and why you made it. I've done quite a few jobs where we go in and I would assume we would throw everything away, and I find out that that's been in the family for 3 generations, right? And so then we have to make the determination, how do we preserve that? And if that's a sentimental value, how do we make sure that we can take care of the client while doing that in a cost-effective manner? So, and it's also important to inspect carefully, right? You want to make sure that you're looking at the different types of contamination that there's going to be. And then, what's the best form to clean that characteristic of contamination? So there's a lot of different tools. As you can see on here, we have feather dusters and UV lights and all the way down to Q-tips and different chemicals. And there's a lot of, technical aspects that go into this to make sure that we're doing this properly. And that's very important. That's something that you're going to learn, is what tools and chemicals to use in each application and each situation.
Perfect. This slide was one of my slides, but it was submitted by, I kind of talked it over with one of the other instructors that we have. That's Ken Sellers from RITCON, or Advanced Contents Recovery. Him and James Toll are working together. They're both teaching those courses out of RITCON. Another active instructor that I can think of just off the top of my head is EMTA. That's Rudy Alford. So you do have quite a variety of different types of, or different choices from instructors. I was talking about ultrasonic cleaning with him, and he said, oh yeah, throw up a slide about ultrasonic cleaning. So we always try to work as a team. And I thought I'd give you a little talk about ultrasonic cleaning since Ken recommended it. When it comes to ultrasonic cleaning, in this section, there is, maybe 5 slides where we talk about the advantages of ultrasonic cleaning, where ultrasonic cleaning can fit into even a small size restoration company, the different sizes and types of ultrasonic cleaning units that you can purchase. This slide specifically, let's see here, this slide specifically is describing the ultrasonic cleaning process. And in this slide, we explain to the students that these units that can be used for ultrasonic cleaning for specific types of contents, we discussed that in some of the slides, is basically a unit that is filled with a specialty fluid that vibrates and creates sound waves. And these sound waves create, of course, waves in the fluid that we've placed our contents into. Now, these sound waves can be adjusted a little bit higher, a little bit lower, depending on the specific contents that are in that cleaning batch. And of course, training is necessary when you're using your ultrasonics units, because you can make some big mistakes. I had a technician once take 5 Hummel figurines, put them in the ultrasonic unit. When they came out, they had no paint on them. So it was kind of a little scary hiccup for me. And, even though they had training, mistakes happen. This goes on. So we talk about the process of how ultrasonics works through the process of using sound waves to create cavitation. Cavitation is when you have voids in a fluid. And these voids, or sometimes you can just call them little bubbles. These little bubbles, they expand and contract and expand and contract with the sound waves. And when these sound waves create this cavitation, the bubbles, as they move closer to or as they hit a surface, the cavitation bubbles will implode, therefore pulling the soils off of the item that has the contamination or soil on it. Now, your ultrasonics products or your ultrasonics unit is fabulous when you're trying to clean items that have a lot of nooks and crannies, a lot of intricate pieces that go together. The fluid can really penetrate into those cracks. And as long as the machinery is tuned appropriately, it can go in and it can clean out and remove all of that contamination. Of course, we talk about that fluid being contaminated. So if you are cleaning items from, a bloodborne pathogens project or a trauma scene project, or, you have a infectious disease on that item that you just cleaned, that water itself or that fluid itself also has to be disposed of appropriately as per local laws and guidelines and regulations. So we kind of go a little bit into that. And then in the next couple of slides, we actually go through the process of ultrasonic cleaning, and we show, some benefits and some accidents that can occur. And we're doing good. We've got time left. Sorry, I kind of ran over on that slide. I went into teacher mode for a second. We've got time for questions and answers. Now, please understand, we've got 500 of you on the line today, so we're so happy to have you, but we may not hit all of your questions. Kyla, you're going to be recording those questions, correct?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
We do have a question that asks, will this course cover maximizing pack-out content, cleaning estimates?
So maximize the pack out. I'm not to maximize efficiency. Absolutely.
I believe so. Yes, I believe that's the.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. I've been doing this for 37. Well, actually contents cleaning I've been doing for maybe 29 years, 30 years. I've gone the gambit from, starting out with a washing machine and a dishwasher in my shop, all the way up to owning a dry cleaning plant that I used. Just running through all of those experiences really helped me learn how productivity and efficiency, especially on contents packing projects, is vital. You have to be prepared for those projects. And so I do talk about, or at least I know in my classes, I talk about preparing your technicians for that project and being a technician, getting yourself prepared to go into that environment and pack it out in the most economic and efficient manner possible.
Yeah, and I think the other thing the course really covers is utilizing the new technology that we have nowadays with the barcodes and the systems, even the ultrasonic. I mean, that's going to save you so much time and efficiency in getting that done or in an organized fashion and having everything available that you can send through PDFs and documents. It's a huge time saver and a huge just organizing your systems and your processes. It's great.
And he answered back. He said he was referring more to writing the estimates. So more of the technical,
the hands-on creating the estimate. In the IICRC courses, we rarely go into any type of pricing. Creating the estimate is kind of a hard one because there's so many different systems to create estimates. You've got Xactimate, ICAT, Assured, you've got, I've seen some people do this on QuickBooks. So creating the estimate is more of a business specific type of thing. So unfortunately, we don't talk a whole lot about it.
Another question is, do you discuss any software commonly used on packouts?
You want to take that one, Mark? You want me to talk about it?
As far as the specific software, is that I'm trying to think.
Yeah, we talked I think that's where they're going is the specific software. We talk about the different types of not only manual types of inventory you can take, but we do take a short step into some of the programs such as Assured, Encircle, ICAT, Contents Track.
I think it's kind of the same thing as the estimating. We kind of generalize and go over kind of each system, but that would be a business decision on what system was going to work best for your needs as far as cost goes and how it's going to integrate into your system already in place.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, he said exact
if they have any questions, business specific questions. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, Kayla. I'm okay if you connect with me. I'm more than happy to field any questions that may be specific to your business. Feel free to call me and get some advice. I'll walk you through the information that I've lived through my experiences. If I don't know, maybe we can get you, to another instructor that may be able to help you, make the determinations that you need for your business.
Yep. And same thing with me. I use a couple different systems right now. So if you want to know how that's working for me, I'm more than willing to answer that question or help you out.
And I think that's a really important question, actually. When we're at trade shows, a lot of people ask us this question. And, as administrative staff, we don't know the technical side. So for those of you that are tuning in, I would definitely take Jessika and Mark up on their offer. They've been in the industry for quite some time. And though we can't really, as the IICRC, endorse any specific companies or products, Jessika and Mark can definitely connect with you on a one-on-one basis.
As a representative of the IICRC, not necessarily to sell you our products or anything like that,
Yeah.
but just to help out our registrants and our certified firms. More than that.
We got a question with a little smiley face. Do we get a discount coupon coming to this for a course?
You know, if you came to the course, jet me an email. I'll talk to all of us instructors we all own schools. We're more than happy to help each other out. Jet me an email at jessica@remediationtraining.com. If you find a course, I'll talk to Ken at RitCon and we'll say, let's give this guy a discount. So
another one came in. It says, I'm located in Hawaii and we use InCircle, I believe it is, for our projects. I noticed we have different regulations or protocols with CTS. Do you have an IICRC professional that will know our state specifics?
Yeah, Darren Foote is he's with remediation training as well, but he works over at RIA in their legislative committee. So he has a lot of information on the different state legislations. So I would probably recommend you can reach him at learntodry.com. And he also works with the legislative committee at IICRC. It just dawned on me. So he's probably the best connection you can have to learn about what's happening in different states for all different types of things in the restoration industry.
Another question just came in, but before I ask it, just a reminder for everyone, the Q&A feature should be at the bottom of your screen on both your smart device and your computer. I know we're getting questions, but just in case, I know it's a little wonky on the screen. Some people can see stuff, some people can't. But the next question is, are you allowed to say the price of the course in the exam? We can definitely say the price of the exam. I know that the course is a little bit more specific to schools and instructors. So if you don't mind, I'll answer the question. Jessika and Mark, the cost of the exam is $80. And like I just mentioned before, for the course, it's depending on the instructor and the school. They're independent. We don't own the instructors or the schools. That's their job to set their pricing.
I can give you a general roundabout, and that is if you look at the IICRC.org and you go over to the education tab and you pull up the courses, you go to education, pull up, find a course, punch in CPT. Kind of what I'm seeing is you can grab courses from anywhere in US dollars from about $4.99 to about $6.99. So it's a pretty large run. I know that some schools are providing that 5-day hands-on course where you've got your 3 days of technical information and then 3 days technical, 2 days of hands-on. So I think those are probably in the higher cost, but just to kind of give you a roundabout idea.
Perfect. The next question is, will the class touch on storage methods like vaults versus open storage in order to maximize efficiency?
Mark, you want to take that one or you want me to take it?
What was that question again? Sorry.
It's about storage.
Yeah, okay. If the course touches on the storage specifics like vaults or open storage in order to maximize the efficiency.
Yeah, that is definitely part of the course as far as giving you the options of, are you palletizing things? How are you storing that in a warehouse? We definitely go over the specifics and then give you the option to take back to your company and say what's going to work best for you in the space that you have and the process that you're running.
The other things that we also talk about when it comes to storage is how to maintain your storage, how to inspect your storage, what is the right choice for storage for you and your specific company. We offer several different methods that are available. We also talk about short-term storage versus long-term storage, how to store your furniture versus how to store, your boxes and odds and ends items. So it does go in.
Mm-hmm. And I think you.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, and I thought, Jessica, that's a great thing to touch on is inspecting your storage, right? You definitely don't want to have thousands of dollars of your clients' inventory in your storage uninspected, and all of a sudden you have a mouse problem or an insect problem that you didn't know about, and you go to pull those things out of storage, and now you have to explain that you have secondary damage here. So there's a lot of small things that really go a long way when taking a look at how you need to store things and protect the things when they're in your care.
That's a great point. I'd never thought about that. That's a good tip for sure. The next question is, will the course price include learning materials, or is that up to the individual trainers? And I'm assuming there's referring to like the course manual.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure all schools include a manual with the course. I know it is an IICRC school requirement. So all schools should include that manual. Many schools also include a study guide or kind of like a comprehension review for the course. So you shouldn't be paying extra for your manual or your course materials. I've got a couple questions on my end. Kayla, if you want me to go ahead and field those?
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like we have another question here that is asking about proper PPE for the different types of contaminations. That really determines on the type. That's the appropriate PPE is really determined upon the type of contamination that you have. Mm-hmm. We do talk about the different types of PPE that you can wear when it comes to your oversuits. You have particulate versus moisture resistant versus moisture proof oversuits. Which one to wear in which situation. We also talk about tape protocols and when you should be taping your suit to your gloves. We talk about glove protocols, what type of gloves you need to wear for the different types of services that you're performing on these contents projects. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to add to that, Mark?
No, I think that's accurate. And as far as, what kind of particulate filters are we using? Odor vapor gas versus standard particulate. And, are we protecting our eyes and making sure that we're not going to get any absorption due to the contaminant we're around? And properly donning and doffing is definitely as important as wearing your PPE.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Just moving on to the next question. I'm just kind of pulling them off here. So if I don't get to your question, don't worry, we'll get to your question, or we'll record it so you can send it to us. But I have another question here on the appropriate usage of deodorization. We do go over different types of deodorizing processes, everything from liquid deodorization all the way up to using your oxidizing gases such as ozone and hydroxyls. Those are all described in the course, and using them appropriately is described. And of course, it depends on the type of contamination that we're dealing with, but we do talk about the various different types of deodorization processes that can be used for deodorization. And you know what, Mark, here's a good one for you. I hope that answered your question fully. If you have any specific questions, feel free. It looks like these are mostly general questions, but if you have any specific questions about specific contents that you're dealing with, feel free to ask. We're here to kind of answer all your questions today. But Mark, here's a good one for you. How do you approach stuffed animals contaminated with soot?
Well, I'm going to look at that from a few different angles, right? On my assessment. Personally, whenever I'm dealing with like a child's toy, I'm very apprehensive on salvaging something that's either plastic or porous or semi-porous, just due to the nature of, can I fully clean this? Is this going to be something a child is sleeping with at night? And a stuffed animal, if it has no sentimental value, I would look at the cost of stuffed animal. how much it would cost to replace it and how much it would cost for us to clean it. Obviously, if it's got soot, how close was that to the fire? Was that a pressurized particulate matter that went inside that stuffed animal, or was it a cold smoke situation where it simply, coated the outside of it with some soot that we could potentially clean? The stuffing would matter. What kind of stuffing is inside that animal? We can't necessarily clean foam or some other stuffing, so we would have to unstuff that, right? Clean the outside and then stuff it back. So I think that would kind of be it would be more specific on what it is, but unless that was a sentimental piece, I would probably say that would be a non-salvageable item personally. And that would be the reason. Yeah.
We have another question here that, do you bring up the standard language during the courses in regards to contents? Absolutely. We talk a lot about the IICRC standards. Now, at this time, we do not have a contents cleaning standard itself. However, we do have an ANSI pin in that standard. So we will be working on that contents cleaning standard. I think that's kind of my next project that I'm going to get shuffled off into, is working on that IICRC standard. I'm sure the whole team is going to be excited about that. So we'll be working on that content specific standard. Back to your question, each of the, the IICRC S500 for water, the S520 for mold, the S540 for traumacine, all of those have sections for contents remediation. They're not, great big sections, but they are sections that are definitely addressed during the course. It's important that not only restoration technicians understand what the language is in the standards, but also as an estimator or a project manager, it's important to know what the standard language is for the specific different types of contamination so that you can follow what the best practices are for those items that you're going to be restoring or not restoring based off of the standard language. So good, very good question. Looks like we have another one come in. The question is asking if it will help you figure out how to manage your supplies packing and best ways to approach packing fragile items like china. If you don't mind, Mark, I'm going to take that one because I love
You're the China packing expert, right?
Yeah. We absolutely go into the different types of packing materials available, what packing materials would cause damage to surfaces. And I've actually done a lot of conservation work as well, preservation and conservation work as well. So we do talk about some of the more advanced techniques on not only how to clean some of your more high value fragile items, but also how to pack those items. Packing, some people don't realize how important packing an item is. Understanding when bubble wrap will scratch a surface, or when regular packing paper will cause damage to metallic rims and silver plate, and what types of packing materials should be used in those instances. So we absolutely do have a fairly large section on appropriate packing procedures, the different types of packing materials you're going to use for pack out as well as pack back.
We've got another one. With the contents manipulation and antique or sentimental valued items, there is always risk of damage. How would you advise compensation for items that are no longer available? Or if a customer is being difficult about cracked plastic drawers, even if the damage was pre-existing?
Mark, you want to grab that one, or you?
Yeah. So as far as like pre-existing damage, I think that making sure that one of your initial processes is to document anything that you see, right? We're really big here on the minute you walk to a home, you need to look for pre-existing damage, document it, and then make sure that you show that to the client, because if you're the last person to touch it, unfortunately, it might fall back on you if you didn't properly document that. So I think that is just being aware of what you need to protect yourself in that situation. As far as the content manipulation of antique or sentimental valued items, that is correct. There is always a risk. And I think that's definitely something you need to properly communicate with your client to let them know that if a lot of times we'll say, if there's anything here that you don't feel comfortable with us touching, understanding that we're human beings and things happen, maybe that's something we would allow them to remove. And if not doing that, then we would say, there is a chance that during the process for packing this in, transporting it, bringing it somewhere else, we're obviously very careful and we treat things with the utmost respect, but things happen. So I think a lot of that is just communication and properly documenting what you're doing.
And there is a short section that does discuss documentation and the different types of documents necessary to perform these types of services in the inspection and estimating section, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oui, oui, bien sûr. Nous avons l'examen en français. So, Kyla, do we have it? I believe it's being translated right now. We just got a question, and if we have it in French.
Yeah.
I think we have it being translated right now, don't we? We can.
I know there's quite a bit of exams going through the translation process. We can definitely find out, and we can follow up with you on the translation. I'm not sure if it is, but I wouldn't be surprised. We do have quite a few exams in French, right? We have like water, if I'm not mistaken, and a couple others. They're on our website.
Also talking about translate on a committee level. We were also talking about having it translated into Spanish. So I know that those two languages were on the plate for this exam.
Perfect. One more question. Do you guys discuss about different types of packing out per job, like trauma, water, fire? Is that all discussed in this course?
Yep. All of it. We really train the technician to look at the contamination, and the project itself is a different project from the project you may be doing tomorrow, because the contamination is going to dictate how you proceed on that project. You may be able to do some things on a fire damage project when it comes to the contents that you can't do on let's say a tear gas powder contaminated project. There may be laws and local regulations that prevent you from doing certain things. There may be standard language that dictates the best practices between the two different types of contamination. So that information does get answered.
And I think also the content stabilization, right? If you have a water damage content versus fire damage content, are we doing preconditioning on the fire damage, or are we stabilizing that water damage content by drying it out? And we go over all those things as well, which is very important.
All right, let's do one more question and then let's go ahead and call it a day.
Sounds good. The last question is, I know this is on contents, but will there be something on structure specific cleaning for classes? We do a lot of on-site cleaning for contents with structure as well.
Can I grab that one, Mark?
Of course.
The FSRT class, the Fire and Smoke Restoration Technician, a great course if you want to learn how to clean structure. It has fire science. It has a wide, like almost for a day and a half, we talk about the different methods that you can use for cleaning the structure. And I would actually recommend that class as a supporting class to your CPT class, because we actually talk about different information. There's a larger, much broader section on understanding the contamination from fire and fire science in the FSRT course. And we do touch a little bit on contents in the FSRT course, but I would recommend for structure, I would go for the FSRT course.
Perfect. Thank you both for today. And thank you all for those who have attended. Just a quick little piece. We will have this webinar available on our YouTube channel. Our tag on YouTube is the IICRC, all one word. And if you've subscribed to our channel, you will be alerted when it's uploaded. So if you missed any part of today, You can always instantly replay and see what you missed. And if you have any questions, Jessika and Mark's information will be on the very last slide of the presentation, so you can always email them your questions. Before we end the meeting, do you guys have any final words?
Thanks for being here today. We're very excited to have you interested in something that's personally close to my heart. This is one of my favorite arms of the industry. Please don't be shy. Please feel free to connect with us. We're here to help you out with, as IICRC registrants and certified firms, we're here to help you out in any way that we can.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, and I definitely appreciate everybody being here, and I think educating yourself is one of the most important things you can do, not only in the industry, but just for yourself. So take the opportunity, and we're always here to help.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. And if you guys are all wondering if there will be any more future webinars available to both you as a certified firm and a certified technician, we will be having one next month. So keep an eye on your email. The spots will be limited as well. So thank you all for taking time out of your day and joining us. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, IICRC staff, Kayla and Allison.
You're very welcome.